So I've been wanting to do videos where I just talk to the camera without like vlogging stuff that I do for a long time. And I mean, there's a lot of topics that I have things to say about. And today I am gonna talk about something that I have so much to talk about, which is drag. So I am a law student, but on the side, I also am a drag queen, as some of you may know. Where does that come from? That's a very good question. I have fell in love with drag when I was a teenager, probably when I was like 13, 14, because I discovered the show RuPaul's Drag Race. So for those of you who don't know what that is, RuPaul's Drag Race is a drag queen competition show that was created by the drag queen RuPaul. So RuPaul is the most famous drag queen in the world. She has been a pioneer on drag in all of its form and on I mean he has been, I mean, you can say he or she, like he out of drag and she in drag. He has made it like mainstream, and he has made the art of drag super famous compared to what it was before. Like, he did not invent drag, of course, like drag has existed for ages, but he made it into a show that grew famous and that people started watching, and that's how like drag became famous in the way that we know it today. And so this show has had a huge impact on like the discipline itself, and I see now a huge fracture, I can't pronounce that word, fracture, a huge difference between like what we call, I mean, how can I explain this, like between queens that started doing drag before the show started and what we call the drag race generation, with younger queens like me that have discovered drag through the show. And so, even as a kid, I was like a very artsy kid. I've always liked art in general. And, well, shocker, I'm gay. And I think that I had, or still have, a lot of things to express through art and a lot of femininity to, yeah, to express, to show, like things that I wouldn't allow myself to do like every day, that I can do with drag. And so I will talk about it later in this video, but like psychologically speaking, drag has had such a huge impact on how I see myself, how I present myself, and just basically my mental balance. So as I said, I discovered the show when I was, I think, about 14, 15 years old, something like that. And since then, I've always thought that one day I would have to try, like, to actually do it. And I have never been in a position before where I could, because when I was living in Marseille, Marseille is not the most open-minded city there is. Quite homophobic, very machist, sexist, very southern French mindsets that I don't really like. I feel like to live in Marseille, you have to fit in a certain vibe that I did not necessarily fit into that much. So anyway, when I was there, impossible to start. And then for my study, I moved to Aix-en-Provence. Basically no drag scene either, so no way to actually like start something other than just doing it in your bedroom and posting on social media. So I couldn't really do it there. And then I moved to the UK, and so in the UK, I like in the city that I was in, Canterbury, there was a few drag queens, and I actually worked with drag queens in a club. But my like student visa conditions did not allow me to do it, because I wasn't allowed to be an entertainer. Why? I do not know. But I started, so I was working like in a gay club with drag queens, and that's where I learned a lot about it, and I learned a lot about what it actually was to be a drag queen and what the reality of living as a drag queen, having that job, or doing it like as a hobby on the side was, and that was really interesting, and it taught me a lot. But now that I live in Canada, in Montreal, where there is a huge drag scene and that I am legally authorized to do it, that's when I started actually to be a drag queen, to be Miss Alexandra Moss. So let's start with how I actually got into it here. So in October 2023, I went to an event called Les Rendez-vous de la Drague, which is very similar to the RuPaul's Drag Con. And I have the RuPaul's Drag Con t-shirt, by the way, here for this occasion. So basically it's a convention, a reunion of like all the drag queens that are francophones and that either have been on Drag Race, Canada's Drag Race, or Drag Race France. I don't know if I think there was like a few girls from RuPaul's Drag Race in the US, I think. And so when I got there, I tried to walk around and talk to people and basically saying, hey, I want to start drag. Who can I go to? Where? Yeah, I have a coffee here, by the way. So I started talking to people saying, where can I go if I want to start? How do I find? Because I was like, okay, I can start doing drag on my own at home. How do I actually get like a booking? How do I find the venue to perform for the first time without having contacts in the industry? And so I met a drag queen called Sally D. And so she hosts a show that happens every Monday night in Montreal that gives a chance for like what we call baby drag, so drag queens that just start and that want to have their first experience in drag. So that's how I started. So that was in October, and so in February I did my first show. It was so surreal for me because it really was like like a full circle moment. Like I had been dreaming for so long to actually be a drag queen and to do drag. Like I have been a fan of drag for so long, and to actually do it, it was insane. It was crazy. Like the emotions that I felt in this moment were crazy. I really was achieving a dream, and I had many of my friends there to encourage me, to support me. So it was an amazing moment. I think looking back, I did not like it didn't go as I was expecting it to go. Like I think there's a few things that I did not like. The way I imagined it was not really what it was when I was actually doing it. So I have been doing dance for about 10 years. I've done ballet, jazz, contemporary, voguing. I've been a teacher. I've done stuff, and so I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm used to the stage. I know what it is to be on stage. I'm not gonna have any problems with stress or anything. But like one thing I did not think about is that when you dance in a group, you sort of have. I mean, that's how I see it. You sort of have like a collective responsibility to maintain entertainment. Like you, even if at the moment what you're doing is not like wow, you have other people that do things and that the audience can look at. Like you don't have the whole weight of being entertaining on your shoulders, which is something I didn't really think about when I was preparing for that first show. And so that was really like overwhelming in a way when I actually got on stage. Like I was so stressed. I felt like I was gonna throw up. It was crazy. But like, I mean, I wasn't even that stressed the days or weeks before. I was like, yeah, I got it. But when I was in the bar on stage, like right before getting on stage, I was like, oh, I'm gonna die. That was crazy. So yeah, I really felt that pressure of being alone on stage in front of the audience and having like that feeling of everybody scrutinizing and looking at you like very closely, and that like, I mean, being on stage is a moment where you are very vulnerable in a way, because like you can't, I mean, you can hide in a way with how you present your makeup, your wigs, your dress, your padding. Like obviously drag is about changing your body and your appearance, but what you do on that moment you can't hide. Like you, like everybody's gonna see everything that you do in that moment. They might not like what you think on that moment, might not show if you are good enough at acting and just not showing that you are stressed, but every dance move that you do is gonna show. Like, I don't know, yeah, I mean that's obvious, but you have to think about every single little movement that you do with your body, and that's incredibly stressful, and it's not something that you realize until you actually do it. Like, you know, I see quite often people being fans of drag and criticizing easily what queens do and being like, oh, she should have done that and she should have done this and this should have been like that way, blah 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 blah. If you think you could do better, please do. Put the makeup on, put the wig, put the dress on, put the padding, put the shoes, get on stage and fucking do it. But until you do that, please don't criticize what you cannot do, okay? Because it's not as easy as it seems. And I have learned that, yeah, I mean, things that seem easy are not actually that easy to do, and they require a preparation that you don't really think about, and you can't really accurately know what it feels like to do something like drag until you've actually done it. So I think people should be more careful in how they judge queens. So let's get back to it. So my first show. Okay, so there is so many types of drag queens. There are so many queens. You have like singing queens, comedy queens, theatrical queens. I mean, you have like in drag you have queens, but you have also drag kings. You have drag creatures. Like there is. I mean, I think it's hard to define what drag is. Like, do we consider drag as just being an imitation, impersonification, is that how you say it, of like the other gender? I mean, there's more genders than just two, obviously. Like, is it just something that we see as like taking the codes of femininity and being like a female illusionist, or do we define drag as just being any form of, I mean, and it goes in the other way around, like if you're trying to take the masculine, the male codes for drag king. Anyway, so do we see drag as that like binary illusion in a way, or do we define drag as just any form of impersonating a character? Like, because you have drag queens, drag kings, sure, but now you have drag creatures. You have like multiple types of people that put wigs and makeup and costumes and stuff and then go perform on stage. How do we define drag? I don't even know. I think it's an open debate and discussion that we don't really need. I mean, we don't need to solve it. Like, drag can stay without a definition. So I was saying this because there is many. Okay, so if I stay in the scope of drag queens, since I am a drag queen, there is so many types of drag queens, and I know that I am a dancing queen because like I thought when I started, okay, what is the thing that I do best? And because like to differentiate yourself, you have to bring something that you think you can bring. I wouldn't say better than other queens, but that you can like be good at. What is the thing that you should specialize in that people will know you for? I cannot sing, I can act, but I know other people can do it better than me. I'm not that theatrical, so okay, so what can I do? I have been dancing for 10 years. Okay, I'm gonna be dancing queen, and that's actually what I love about drag. Because like the perception that you have of drag when you attend the show and when you actually do it, it really changes. And I mean, for me, it's the same in the way that I love the type of drag that I enjoy watching the most is like dancing queens, dance performances. And so I thought that was gonna be the type of drag that I would do, and it is. So I am a dancing queen, and I thought, okay, well, like, I mean, I think drag takes a lot of analysis to be able to really grasp the nuances of it. And I thought, okay, what is the thing in the drag queens that I like the most that make them be my favorite? Like, what is it in the dancing queens? And I realized that choreographing your numbers in advance and knowing what dance moves you will do, in my opinion, is what makes like a good dancing drag queen. And also, I am not the best at improv. I know that. I need to know my steps before. I am not good at improvising and coming up with moves on the moment. I know it's not my forte. So I thought that I would choreograph what I was gonna do. And I did for weeks. But I was so stressed in that moment, I completely forgot. Like, it completely went out the window. Most of the, not everything, but like most of the things that I had prepared completely vanished. And so I did the performance and I was so stressed and I was like hesitant and I didn't really feel that, how can I explain this? Like, to me, in drag, you have the moves and you have what I would call the aura, like what comes out of you, what feeling you provoke when people look at you. And to have that aura, you need to have like a confidence, you need to be sure of yourself, you need to be feeling it, you need to feel powerful, sexy, goddess like, you know, you need to have that strength of character and that aura. I think it's an aura. That's how I would define it. And so basically, first show, I'm so proud of myself for doing it and I'm so happy that I have done it, but indeed it did not go as I thought it would go. My dance moves, bye bye. My sexy queen goddess aura, not the best one. But I did it. I loved it. I loved doing it. I mean, when I look at the videos, I think it's a bit, I mean, I cringe a bit when I see the videos, but like other people were telling me that it was good, but I don't know if they were honest or if it's because they were my friends. I don't know. And then after dancing, I had to do a little like comedy number for about 5 minutes and I loved it. Like, I didn't think I would enjoy talking on the mic and making jokes that much. I really didn't think, but I loved it. I loved it. Who knows what kind of queen I'm gonna be? So that happened in February. Then I did a second show in May, on the 27th of May. And this time I was like, okay, I have learned so much from my first experience in drag, and now I'm gonna do things completely differently. And to start, this time, instead of just buying a dress in a store, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to make my own dress. And I did. It took me so much time. It was insane how long it took me. Because I do sew, but I thought that I didn't feel like sewing here, and I didn't really have the budget to buy a sewing machine. So I was like, doing it by hand is gonna take me so much time. I cannot. So basically the idea of my dress, I'm gonna put a pic right here. So that was the final look. The idea was that, okay, so I bought a corset and then I was gonna build a little thing to put on top because the corset was like stopping here and was not covering my tits. So I bought, I don't know how to say it in English, rembourrage, padding. And I used a glue gun and I built a little something, and then I bought fabric that I glued to have that like moving effect. I'm gonna put pictures here so that you see what I'm talking about. So I did this, and then my plan was to make a skirt that would attach to the corset, and because I wanted to like go over the top, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do a reveal. And so I did a first like golden-ish skirt that I'm gonna show you a bit here. And then I had like a red one over it, and I mean covering it. And my original idea for it was very different from what it ended up being, because once again, when you look at something and you imagine yourself doing it, it's not like, it doesn't end up being what it actually is to make the fucking dress, you know? I had so many ideas. I bought like extra padding. I wanted to do like a structure thingy on the hips. I mean, I had a whole concept in mind. I did it, but I wasn't happy with the result. So at the last minute, I was like, fuck it, I'm starting over. I went back to the fabric store, bought some more, and I started from scratch like 2 days before for that red skirt, when I had been working on the previous one for about a week. But all things considered, I'm happy with the way it turned out. It was hot, it was pretty, it was cute, but I mean, don't look at it too close, because you can see little things that are not okay here and there. But on stage, from a little distance, and with the idea that I'm gonna be dancing my ass off, and like no one, I think, really noticed the tiny details. And also because I'm still a baby queen, I think there was a little indulgence, there was a mercy that was on me for it not being perfect. So yeah, that second show, the performance itself, I was much more confident about. I loved it so much. I had more, like, I was stressed as well, but way less. And so I remembered much more of the choreo that I had prepared than the first time that I did it. And I loved the song. I loved, yeah, I loved the vibe of it. I'm really happy with how this number turned out. I'm really happy. And I put a lot of myself into it. Like, it took me so much time because I also bought shoes that I rhinestoned, and I bought black gloves and red nails that I glued on the gloves to give that nail illusion. Because I don't know why I feel so stressed about wearing actual, do you say fake nails? Press-ons? Press-ons? Like nails that you glue to your actual nail, if that makes sense. Like, I feel it's so stressful to me because I always think, okay, if I hit my nail on something or on stage and that it just like it pops and breaks, and that I'm gonna have my real nail. So like I don't feel like actually wearing nails. So I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna put it on gloves. Let's go. And I have reused these gloves on another show I did that I'm gonna tell you about in a second. So this show happened in May on 27th, so about 3-4 weeks ago. And it's after doing this second show that I realized that I actually wanted to keep doing drag, and that I wanted to make something out of it, and I want to get involved and like actually make, I'm not gonna say career, but I want to be a drag queen. I don't just want to be like a guy that is a student that does like, and that every 2-3 months does like one number on the side and that's it. No, I want to make myself known, and I want to like be a drag queen, like really be a drag queen and do more shows. And I mean, I'm not gonna say be famous, like, but like, you know, I want to. And so since this second show, I have tried to make myself known, get more bookings, and that is where things get complicated, and that I am facing challenges I did not think would be this hard, and I didn't think that this will be the challenge that it is right now. And so I'm gonna tell you all about what is going on right now, what is going to happen, and how my mindset has evolved about drag now, knowing that I have all these difficulties that I'm facing. But because this video is gonna be super, super long, if I do it in one video, I think I'm gonna do a part 2 that I will be posting after this one in the coming days or weeks. So thank you for listening to this and watching to this. I'm actually considering making this a podcast. I don't know yet. We'll see. So stay tuned for the second part of the video that will come out very soon.